let's zoom in on AI and hackathons then. How do you think the integration of AI and hackathons is shaping the tech landscape? And are there any standout projects you've come across?
Well, I would say I want to talk more about how hackathons will come in place and how it will be more accessible to people who don't know how to code, as AI can help in code generation, and a major component of hackathons is generating code. So I think it will be able to make hackathons more accessible.
That's a solid point. AI-driven code generation could indeed lower the barrier for non-coders in hackathons. How do you envision this shift impacting the dynamics and participation in hackathons?
I think, for example, I went to a designer meetup recently and I spoke to a lot of designers, and I talked to one person who went through a boot camp, and she was saying that there was no aid in designer and developer interaction. So I think that's a really cool problem that can be solved in hackathons.
Absolutely. Improving collaboration between designers and developers is crucial. How do you see hackathons playing a role in fostering better interaction between these two groups? And what kind of solutions or projects do you think could arise from this collaboration?
Well, I think designers have a different mindset than developers traditionally. And I think they can bring a big domain knowledge expertise to hackathons.
Definitely. Leveraging the unique mindset of designers and hackathons could bring diverse perspectives. How do you think hackathons can create an environment that encourages this collaboration and draws on the specific expertise of both designers and developers?
I just want to interrupt you because I know you drove like over 2 hours to be here, right? Isn't that right, Henry, to become on the podcast?
Oh, no need to worry about that. I'm always ready for a good conversation, even if it's a virtual drive. So back to hackathons. How do you think we can enhance the collaboration between designers and developers in this dynamic environment?
Well, I think developers and designers are going to be a match made in heaven, as designers have a different perspective. They see things more at a macro level versus developers see things in a tunnel vision sense. So I think this designer and developer interaction will really be the future. And I think right now, hackathons are just too filled with just developers.
Absolutely. A harmonious collaboration between designers and developers can bring a broader, more holistic approach. How do you propose we shift the balance to make hackathons more inclusive for designers and ensure a well-rounded mix of skills?
Well, I think we can sponsors can highlight some code generation tools, and maybe Adobe or Figma can come in and also sponsor hackathons, which will make it more inclusive for designers.
That's a great idea. Partnering with design-focused tools like Adobe or Figma as sponsors could indeed attract more designers to hackathons. How do you think these partnerships could be structured to best support both designers and developers in the hackathon setting?
Well, enough about that. Let's just talk about more hackathon stuff in a different sense.
Sure thing. What other aspects of hackathons are you itching to dive into? Whether it's trends, challenges, or success stories, let's explore it.
I recently won a hackathon. It was in a government tech space. It was more like autofilling potholes. Basically, it was autofilling pothole forms, so it'll be more accessible for people to fill out forms and make the city better.
Congratulations on the win. That's a meaningful project. Autofilling pothole forms sounds like a game changer for improving city infrastructure. How did your team come up with this idea, and what impact do you see it having on the community?
Well, unfortunately, I was trying to team up with this dude who's trying to make a research project, but he fell sick because he drank too much caffeine.
Oh, that's quite a twist. Caffeine can be a double edged sword. Despite that setback, it seems like your autofilling pothole forms project turned out successful. Any unexpected challenges during the hackathon that you found particularly interesting or amusing?
Well, I found it amusing that um, I was
Yeah, share the amusing part. What made the hackathon experience memorable or amusing for you?
Well, the amusing part was I guess I didn't expect to go in alone, but I just really felt like I had the drive. There's this thing called rejection therapy, and I think if I get rejected a lot, it makes me uh, become okay to without rejection. So basically, I wanted to go enter the hackathon, and with that mindset, just go in solo, and it ended up working out.
That's a bold move, and it paid off. Embracing rejection therapy and going solo turned out to be a winning strategy for you. How did this experience shape your perspective on collaboration and individual contributions in the hackathon space?
Well, I guess the meaningful collaborations. I wait. Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
No problem. How did your experience of going solo in the hackathon impact your view on the value of collaboration versus individual contributions in these events?
Well, I think going in a more collaborative sense, going in teams is like a good networking opportunity because you can see how you fit with people that you don't regularly work with.
Absolutely, hackathons do provide a unique networking platform. Working in teams helps you explore collaboration dynamics with people outside your regular circle. Have you formed any lasting connections or partnerships from these collaborative experiences in hackathons?
Henry, I'm glad you mentioned that point because I guess I've made a whole family, a community in the Bay, and it was great. I just love going to hackathons because of the community.
That's fantastic. Building a community and finding a sort of family in the Bay Area hackathon scene is truly special. What aspects of this community make it stand out for you, and how has it enriched your overall experience in the tech and hackathon space?
Well, I think the tech and hackathon space is just going to keep evolving with AI. I think AI will really help people make it more accessible to people to participate in development and building projects. And I hope more people keep building businesses, building proof of concepts, and there'll be more innovation.
Absolutely, AI's role in accessibility and innovation is a game changer. Looking ahead, what specific areas or industries do you foresee AI making the most significant impact on in the context of hackathons and tech development?
Well, I think like the as development.
Sure, take your time. What specific areas do you believe AI will have the most profound impact on, especially within hackathons and the broader tech development landscape?
In the broader tech development landscape, I think things will change. Sorry, I lost track.
Certainly, in the broader tech development landscape, what areas do you predict AI will leave a lasting mark on, considering the ongoing evolution of hackathons and tech projects?
Well, I think as AI further develops, we won't even be able to imagine things, but I think I would see a lot more diversity and not just one sector, not just tech people participating, but different domains. And I think that will unleash a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. The potential for diversity across various domains is immense. The evolution of AI could indeed open up new horizons and bring together talents from diverse sectors. How do you think this cross domain collaboration will shape the nature of projects and innovations emerging from hackathons in the future?
Well, for example, my project was government tech, and I think one of the reasons that it did so well or resonated with people was it's so practical. It was really facing the end user, and I think it has the ability to blitz scale. And I think a lot of things will have the opportunity to be able to be very scalable because they're just untapped sectors. People haven't explored these problems before. And as hackathons become more accessible, more people will be able to share those ideas.
That's a key point. Tackling practical, user facing problems in untapped sectors can lead to highly scalable solutions. The accessibility of hackathons can indeed be a catalyst for exploring and solving problems in diverse domains. How do you envision the scalability of projects from hackathons impacting communities on a broader scale?
I think the scalability of. Wait, can you repeat that question? Sorry, that seemed pretty dense.
No worries. How do you think the scalability of projects developed in hackathons will have a broader impact on communities as these solutions are implemented on a larger scale?
I think as the implementations on a larger scale, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's just the proof of concepts are mainly done at hackathons, and scaling them up into actual companies are where the real challenge is. But we'll see.
Absolutely, transitioning from proof of concepts at hackathons to full-fledged companies is indeed a challenge. What key elements or support systems do you think are crucial for successfully scaling these projects into sustainable businesses post-hackathon?
Oh, that's such an interesting idea. Like, interesting question. Thanks so much, Henry.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure discussing these insights with you. If there's anything else on your mind or another aspect of hackathons you want to explore, feel free to dive in.
Well, I was gonna respond to that question.
Oh, my apologies. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the key elements or support systems crucial for scaling hackathon projects into sustainable businesses.
Well, I think it's a lot of infrastructure. And I was talking to one of my friends, Daniel, and he was saying that the most critical parts of a business in any technical company is just the infrastructure, scaling it up. It's very hard to scale up businesses, and that's where the real value is held in businesses, and not necessarily just the product. And I think infrastructure, just having a good mind of infrastructure and how you're going to scale up. For example, there's different technologies you can use to scale up systems. That's a really helpful knowledge to have.
Absolutely, infrastructure is the backbone of scaling technical businesses. Understanding the technologies and strategies for scaling systems is crucial. How do you think hackathons can better equip participants with this knowledge, ensuring a smoother transition from proof of concept to a robust, scalable business model?
Well, I don't know, but I think maybe in the future we could use AI to help figure that out. On They can be the infrastructure engineers because those are less fun to do, but otherwise you will just need some more infrastructure engineers.
Interesting perspective. AI assisting in the intricacies of infrastructure scaling could indeed streamline the process. Balancing the less glamorous tasks with AI support might be a game changer. How do you envision AI playing a role in assisting or even automating certain aspects of infrastructure scaling for hackathon projects turned businesses?
I think hackathon projects turn businesses. Oh my god, that's so interesting. Can you say the question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No worries. How do you see AI potentially assisting or automating aspects of infrastructure scaling for hackathon projects that transition into businesses? And have you come across any hackathon projects that successfully evolved into sustainable businesses?
Well, I would say that this is a multifaceted question, but let me just think about. Do you have any insights on this matter?
Absolutely, it's a multifaceted topic. In terms of AI assisting in infrastructure scaling, it's plausible, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And regarding hackathon projects turned businesses, there are instances, but I'd be curious about any specific ones you may have in mind.
I would just like to hear your thoughts on infrastructure and AI. Can you maybe help me think about that?
Sure thing. When it comes to infrastructure and AI, the collaboration could involve AI optimizing resource allocation, automating routine tasks, and even predicting scalability needs. It's like having a smart assistant for the backend, making the scaling process more efficient. How do you see this dynamic evolving in the context of hackathon projects venturing into scalable businesses?
Well, I guess a lot of the boring stuff will be automated away. So people can focus on the product and we can hire more product people. So, and I think that will make it
Exactly.
easier.
Automating the tedious tasks allows teams to concentrate on refining and innovating the product. Hiring more product focused roles could enhance the overall development and growth of the business. How do you think this shift in focus from infrastructure tasks to product development will impact the creativity and efficiency of hackathon inspired businesses?
Creativity of hackathon inspired businesses. I think like there'll be more of them that scale because as things, if it's easier to scale, then hackathon projects, more hackathon proof of concepts will be able to scale.
Absolutely, maintaining creativity is key. How do you think hackathon inspired businesses can preserve and foster creativity as they shift focus from infrastructure tasks to product development in the long run?
Well, I think product development will. Wait, can you give me some time to respond? Maybe rephrase the question.
Sure, take your time. How do you envision hackathon inspired businesses sustaining and nurturing creativity, especially as they transition from handling infrastructure tasks to focusing more on product development in the long term?
Well, I think things will be more.
Sure, take your time. Whenever you're ready, I'm here to hear your thoughts.
I think it's going to be more about talking to customers. You will be talk to customers, and you'll really just dive into their problems and just more user research, which will increase the level of basically it will make it so better. It will make the customer experience better because people will spend more time focused on the user and less about scalability needs.
That's a great perspective. Shifting the focus to customer interactions and user research can indeed enhance the customer experience. How do you think this increased emphasis on understanding user needs will shape the trajectory of hackathon inspired businesses in terms of innovation and product refinement?
I think product refinement. Oh my god! But I think Oh my god, that's
Take your
cool.
time. When you're ready, share your thoughts on how a heightened focus on understanding user needs can influence the product refinement of hackathon inspired businesses.
Wow. Well, I think this is crazy. Can we do a
Absolutely. Take your time. When you're ready, share your thoughts on how the increased emphasis on understanding user needs might impact the refinement of products in the context of hackathon inspired businesses.
Can we switch topics to the collaborative things in hackathons?
Of course, what aspect of collaboration in hackathons would you like to delve into? Whether it's team dynamics, cross disciplinary collaboration, or any other angle, feel free to guide our discussion.
Let's do team dynamics.
Great choice. Team dynamics are crucial. What do you think makes for a successful and cohesive team in the context of hackathons? And have you had any memorable team experiences that stood out to you?
Well, when I was in university and did quite a few hackathons. Some were 24 hours, Sometimes we didn't sleep. Sometimes we drank Red Bull. But I'd say the most key thing, or one of the key things, was having communication channels, making sure communication was good, and also figuring out how we're going to develop the code.
Absolutely. Communication and a well defined development strategy are key components. How did you and your team ensure effective communication during those intense 24-hour hackathons? And were there any specific tools or approaches that worked exceptionally well for you?
I just want to hear your perspective as you're pretty experienced. I just want to know what you would do in that situation.
In a fast paced hackathon, clear communication is vital. I'd establish a central communication hub, maybe a group chat, to keep everyone on the same page. Regular check ins, dividing tasks based on expertise, and using collaboration tools like Slack or Trello could help streamline the process. How would you approach it?
I use Discord personally, but that's interesting. Can you elaborate more on prioritization of tasks?
Certainly. Prioritization is key. In the whirlwind of a hackathon, I'd suggest identifying and focusing on the core functionalities first. Define a minimal viable product MVP to ensure you deliver something functional, then build upon that foundation. How do you typically approach prioritization in the midst of a hackathon project?
I was thinking about MVP too. Just like, can you elaborate more on what MVP is, just for the users, for people watching?
Absolutely. The MVP, or minimal viable product, is the simplest version of a product that still addresses the core problem or need. It allows teams to deliver something functional within a short time frame, like a hackathon. The idea is to have a working foundation that can be iterated upon. How have you found the concept of MVP useful in your hackathon experiences?
Well, MVP is both useful in hackathons and also startups because we just need something to ship so that customers can actually experience it and visualize what you're actually saying.
Exactly. In both hackathons and startups, the MVP serves as a tangible representation of your idea. It's a starting point for feedback and improvement. How has feedback from customers or users during hackathons influenced the evolution of your projects or ideas?
Well, I think there are not many end users that would be at hackathons, but there would be judges, and judges will give you really good feedback because sometimes there are VCs that have seen a lot of startups and or seen a lot of projects. So it really helps to get those feedback.
Absolutely. Hackathon judges, often with extensive experience, can provide invaluable insights. How do you usually leverage the feedback from judges to refine and enhance your projects after a hackathon?
I don't know, how would you go about it?
I'd start by identifying common themes or suggestions from the judges. Then I'd prioritize those insights based on their impact on the project. Quick iterations incorporating the most impactful feedback could lead to a more polished and successful project. How about you? Any specific approach you find effective?
Can you go more deeper on the point where you said, what was it called? Themes of feedback?
Certainly. By themes of feedback, I mean looking for recurring patterns or common points raised by different judges. If multiple judges highlight a similar aspect, it suggests that particular area might be crucial for improvement. It helps in identifying the most impactful feedback that can elevate the project as a whole. How do you typically analyze and prioritize feedback from judges or mentors?
Sorry, can you rephrase it in an easier way? I couldn't understand that. I was just tired.
No problem at all. When I say themes of feedback, I mean looking for repeated suggestions or comments. If multiple judges mention the same thing, it's likely an important area to focus on for improvement. It's a way to figure out the most essential feedback to enhance your project. How do you usually pick out the most valuable suggestions from judges or mentors?
So are you saying like common points, things that are repeated like a lot?
Common points that multiple judges highlight. If many mention a similar aspect, it signals that addressing that area could significantly improve your project. It's a way to sift through feedback and prioritize what can make the most impact. How do you usually go about prioritizing feedback in your projects?
I don't know. That's why I was asking you.
No worries. If I misunderstood, please feel free to clarify your question. What specifically were you asking about? Themes of feedback or any other aspect related to leveraging feedback in your projects?
I was thinking about like what are the tools you would use?
Got it. For analyzing feedback themes, I'd use a simple method: create a document or spreadsheet, list out the feedback received, and note if similar points are raised by multiple judges. This helps in visually identifying common themes. As for the actual tools, platforms like Google Sheets or even a shared document in something like Dropbox Paper can work well for collaboration and feedback analysis. How would you go about it, or any tools you find effective?
Can you tell me about more about like the architectural considerations between like Google, Google Sheets, or like the different tools you would use?
Certainly. When considering tools like Google Sheets for feedback analysis, it's straightforward and collaborative. Multiple team members can ask and contribute to the document simultaneously. Each feedback point can have a dedicated row, making it easy to organize and categorize. However, for more detailed discussions, or if you prefer a narrative format, a shared document in a platform like Dropbox Paper could offer a more fluid, text-oriented space. The choice often depends on your team's preference for visual organization versus a more narrative style. What kind of tool or platform do you find most effective for collaborative tasks like feedback analysis?
For feedback analysis? I'm not sure, so that's why I asked you. Let's just switch topics. Let's switch gears.
Sure, absolutely. What's the new topic you'd like to dive into? Feel free to lead the way.
Something like technical, something about startups maybe.
Certainly. What technical aspects or startup related topics are you interested in discussing? Whether it's tech trends, challenges, or specific areas within startup development, let me know where you want to focus.
Let's just talk about fostering community.
Great choice. Fostering a community is crucial. How do you think startups can effectively build and nurture a strong community around their products or services? And have you come across any notable examples that impressed you?
I was thinking about community of founders as well, not just community within the business.
Building a community of founders is equally important. What strategies do you believe are effective for founders to connect, share experiences, and support each other within the startup ecosystem?
I think I just want to talk about like spaces. How are the spaces used to facilitate the meeting of founders?
Absolutely. The physical spaces play a crucial role. How do you envision startup spaces being designed or utilized to foster meaningful interactions and collaborations among founders?
Well, I think it's cool to bounce off ideas. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Having spaces that encourage idea sharing and collaboration is key. Open layouts, communal areas, and even designated brainstorming spots can all contribute. Additionally, events like networking sessions or casual meetups within these spaces can further facilitate idea exchange. How would you design or utilize startup spaces to enhance collaboration among founders?
How would you design an ideal startup space?
An ideal startup space would feature open, flexible layouts to encourage interaction. It should have dedicated areas for focused work, collaborative sessions, and casual discussions. Incorporating comfortable furniture, natural light, and vibrant decor can create an inspiring atmosphere. Tech-enabled meeting rooms and communal spaces for events would add to its versatility. What elements would you prioritize in designing an ideal startup space?
Can you tell me more about the natural light? I wanted to do it in a dungeon.
Certainly. Natural light is beneficial for overall well-being. It boosts mood, enhances productivity, and creates a more inviting atmosphere. If you're considering a space without natural light, mimicking it with well-designed artificial lighting can still contribute to a positive environment. The key is to ensure the space feels bright, welcoming, and conducive to creativity. What's your perspective on the impact of lighting in a startup space?
Well, I actually don't care about lighting that much, but let me just think about more about the spaces used to facilitate things. I think they're called third spaces. Have you heard of that concept?
Absolutely, the concept of third spaces refers to places that are neither home nor work, but serve as social environments fostering interactions and community. It's often crucial for informal meetings, collaboration, and networking. How would you envision incorporating third spaces into startup environments to enhance collaboration and community building?
Can you talk more about third spaces? Just I would like to hear more of your thoughts.
Certainly. Third spaces can range from coffee shops to co-working spaces, providing a casual yet productive environment. They facilitate chance encounters, informal meetings, and the exchange of ideas outside formal work settings. Incorporating comfortable seating, communal areas, and perhaps even features like game rooms or relaxation spots can make these spaces inviting. The idea is to create an atmosphere conducive to both work and community building. How do you see third spaces contributing to the startup ecosystem? And are there specific elements you find essential for their success?
I would just like to hear more of your thoughts on the intersection of third spaces and startups.
Certainly. The intersection of third spaces and startups is a dynamic meeting ground where innovation, collaboration, and community thrive. These spaces provide startups with flexibility, access to diverse networks, and opportunities for serendipitous interactions. It's a melting pot for ideas, partnerships, and mentorship, fostering an environment where founders can learn, connect, and grow together. The informality of these spaces often nurtures a more relaxed, creative atmosphere. How do you see the synergy between third spaces and startups influencing the way entrepreneurs work and collaborate?
Well, I think third spaces also have to be cheap.
Absolutely, adapting third spaces to meet the evolving needs of startups is crucial. What changes or modifications would you propose to enhance these spaces and make them more conducive to supporting the ever-changing dynamics of startups?
Well, I think they need to be cheap because startup founders are broke.
A valid point. Affordability is key for startup founders. Ensuring that these third spaces offer cost-effective solutions can make them more accessible and supportive for early-stage entrepreneurs. What other features or adjustments would you consider to make these spaces more accommodating for startup founders with limited resources?
What would you propose a solution to make a cheap space for people?
Creating affordable spaces is essential to support startup founders who often operate on tight budgets. It ensures that these spaces remain accessible, allowing founders to benefit from the collaborative environment without financial strain. It's about fostering inclusivity and providing opportunities for all entrepreneurs, regardless of their financial constraints. What other aspects do you think are crucial for third spaces to effectively serve startup founders?
I just want to know more about how would it even come to fruition? Would governments need to be involved? Would companies need to fund it? Who's funding this operation?
The funding and support for affordable startup spaces could come from various sources. Governments might offer grants or subsidies to encourage the creation of such spaces. Private companies, especially those invested in supporting startups, could contribute funding or sponsorships. Collaborations between public and private sectors might also play a role. Additionally, initiatives led by community-driven organizations or incubators can contribute to making these spaces a reality. It often requires a collective effort from different stakeholders to ensure sustainability. What do you think would be the most effective approach for securing funding and support for affordable startup spaces?
I would just like to hear more of your thoughts, more in a comical way, because I just think it's never going to happen.
The quest for affordable startup spaces. It's like searching for a unicorn in a co-working jungle. Governments might sprinkle a bit of funding magic, and companies could toss in some spare change from the office couch. But let's be real, getting affordable spaces for broke founders is like finding a pot of gold at the end of the startup rainbow. A charming idea, but who knows if it really exists. What whimsical twists do you think could make this dream of affordable startup spaces a reality?
I have no idea. We need to do this whole conversation comical.
Absolutely, keeping it calm and cool. What are your thoughts on the practical side of making affordable startup spaces happen? Any realistic approaches or potential challenges you see?
Nah, nah, nah. I was saying you gotta keep it comical, Keep it lighthearted and fun.
Got it, keeping it comical. So, turning the quest for affordable startup spaces into a whimsical adventure. Any ideas on how we might add a sprinkle of humor to this pursuit while keeping it light and entertaining?
I don't care, but let's just go back to the topic, but I guess just keep it whimsical, I guess. Bro.
Absolutely. Let's dive back into the whimsical world of startup spaces. Imagine a land where affordable co working spaces grow on trees and government grants fall from the sky like confetti. What fantastical twists do you think would make this whimsy a reality for broke founders?
I don't know. We have to campaign for that stuff, right? Isn't that right, Henry?
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit. Please try again later.